Okay, so you've had that moment, right? It's like January 15th, you look in the mirror and you just know you've already failed.
Oh, absolutely. The New Year's resolution crap.
You swore you were going to wake up at 5 a.m. or stop doom scrolling or, eat kale. For 3 days, you were a machine.
And then real life hits.
Right. You get stressed, you get tired, and boom, you're back on the couch, phone in one hand, donut in the other.
It's that universal feeling, why can't I just make myself do this?
Exactly. And the story we tell ourselves is just brutal. We say, I'm weak, or I just don't have the discipline. But what if that's completely the wrong diagnosis? Today, we are diving into The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And his whole argument is that your failure to change, it's not a character flaw, it's a machinery problem.
It is. And we're not talking about intuition or, positive thinking here. This is hard neurology. There's a statistic in the book from a 2006 Duke University study that really just sets the whole stage. It says that about 40% of the actions you take every single day, they aren't decisions.
40%? Wait, hold on. That seems really high. I feel like I'm deciding things all day long.
You feel like you are. That's the key. But in reality, nearly half your day is just your brain executing a script it wrote, like months or years ago. You're not driving the car, you're just in the passenger seat watching the scenery go by.
That is slightly terrifying, but also weirdly kind of a relief.
It should be. It means the problem isn't you. The problem is you're fighting a neurological loop that runs completely outside your conscious control. So, welcome to the Practical Mind edition of our deep dive. I'm your guide to the science, and today we are going to pop open the hood of the brain to see how these loops are built.
And how to rewire them.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start with the hardware. Duhigg talks a lot about the actual brain structure. He makes this distinction between the prefrontal cortex and the basal ganglia. Now, the prefrontal cortex, that's the smart part, right?
Correct. It's right behind your forehead. It's the CEO. It does complex math, moral choices, all the heavy lifting. But deep inside the brain, there's this ancient, sort of golf ball-sized piece of tissue called the basal ganglia.
The lizard brain.
In a way, yeah. It's primitive. And this is where habits live. The book gets into these experiments at MIT with rats in a T-shaped maze that are honestly, they're mind-blowing.
I read this part. They put sensors in their brains to see what was firing.
That's the one. So picture this. You drop her out in a maze. There's chocolate at one end. The first time it goes in, its brain is lighting up like a Christmas tree. The chart shows just explosions of activity.
Because it's analyzing everything. It's thinking.
It's thinking. It's sniffing, scratching, using huge amounts of cognitive energy. But here's where it gets weird. They run the rat again. And again. Hundreds of times. The rat learns the route.
It becomes routine.
Right. But when they look at the brain activity of that experienced rat, the graph is almost flat.
Flat, like asleep.
Pretty much. The brain activity spikes at the start, when it hears the click of the gate opening. That's the cue. And it spikes again at the end, when it gets the chocolate, the reward. But during the actual running of the maze, the complex behavior, the thinking part of the brain it powers down.
Hold on, how does the brain power down while the rat is running a maze? It still has to navigate, doesn't it?
Think of it like a computer macro. The first time you learn to type, you're thinking about every single finger.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
But now you don't think about it. You just think the word and your fingers move. The basal ganglia stores that macro. It says, oh, we're running the maze script. Okay, prefrontal cortex, you can go take a nap. I've got this.
That explains why I can drive to work, pull into the parking lot, and have absolutely no memory of a single turn I made.
Exactly. Your basal ganglia was driving. Your smart brain was worrying about that email you forgot to send. It's an evolutionary superpower, really. Our brains are energy hogs. If we had to consciously think about every little thing, we'd never get anything done.
Okay, so efficiency is good, but the downside is, once the basal ganglia takes over, we're not actually choosing anymore.
Precisely. And that brings us to the most famous concept in the book, the habit loop. Duhigg says every single habit, from biting your nails to checking your email, breaks down into 3 parts.
The cue, the routine, and the reward.
Spot on. The cue's the trigger. For the rat, it was the click. For you, it might be 3:00 p.m., or seeing a notification on your phone, or just the feeling of boredom.
Then the routine is the behavior itself.
Yes. running the maze, smoking the cigarette, eating the cookie.
And the reward is the payoff that tells the brain, hey, remember this loop? It was good.
It's the chocolate, the
Yeah.
nicotine hit, the little dopamine rush from a like on Instagram.
Here's what I don't get, though. We all know we have bad habits. I know a donut is bad, so why does my brain keep treating it like a reward? Shouldn't my smart brain override the lizard brain?
You'd think so. But the basal ganglia is incredibly stubborn. There's a case study in the book of a man named Eugene Pauly that shows just how separate these systems are. Eugene had a virus that basically wiped out his short-term memory.
Like the movie Memento.
Even worse, he couldn't remember his own grandchildren. He couldn't draw you a map of his own house. If you asked him where the kitchen was, he would just stare at you blankly.
So he was helpless.
That's what everyone thought. But his wife started noticing something strange. Eugene would get up from the couch, walk directly to the kitchen, get bacon out of the fridge, cook it, and eat it.
Wait, he couldn't tell you where the kitchen was, but he could walk there on his own.
Exactly. The doctors were baffled. They'd ask him, Eugene, where's the bacon? And he had no idea. But if he felt hungry, that was the cue. His body just took over. The routine fired. He didn't need to remember the habit to do it.
That's actually terrifying. It means the habit can exist even when the conscious mind has left the building.
And it explains why habits are so hard to break. You can't use logic to fight a system that doesn't even speak logic.
So if we can't delete the file, what's the plan? This is where Duhigg introduces the golden rule of habit change.
This is the core of it. The golden rule is you cannot extinguish a bad habit. That neural pathway is there forever. You can only overwrite it. You keep the cue, you keep the reward, but you swap out the routine.
Okay, let's make that concrete. The book uses the story of Pepsodent toothpaste, which I had no idea brushing your teeth was something that had to be sold to people.
Chuckles.
Oh, yeah. In the early 1900s, almost nobody in America brushed their teeth. Dental hygiene was a disaster. Then this ad man, Claude Hopkins, comes along. He needed to sell Pepsodent, but he knew you can't lecture people into a habit.
So he had to hack the loop.
He had to create a loop from scratch. First, he needed a cue. So he ran these ads that said, run your tongue over your teeth. Do you feel that film?
I'm literally doing it right now, and yes, it's gross. Everyone does it. And that film, which is totally natural, by the way, suddenly became this universal cue. The routine was obviously brushing with Pepsodent. But here's the genius part, the reward. Pepsodent had citric acid and mint oil in it.
The tingle, the minty burn.
The tingle. Now, that sensation does nothing to clean your teeth. It's purely cosmetic. But it created a reward. People started to associate that cool, tingling feeling with clean. They started to crave this sensation.
So if they forgot to brush, they missed the burn.
Exactly. He wasn't selling dental health. He was selling a sensation. And that craving is what drives the habit loop.
Okay, so applying this golden rule. If I want to change a bad habit, I have to figure out the reward I'm actually craving.
Yes. And we are often wrong about what that craving is. Take Alcoholics Anonymous. Duhigg explains that a huge part of why AA works is this principle of habit replacement.
I always just thought of it as being about willpower.
That's part of it, for sure. But look at the mechanics. An alcoholic feels acute stress, loneliness, anger. The old routine is to drink. The reward is what? Relief, maybe? Social connection, escape, AA says. When you feel that cue, don't just sit there and fight it. Your new routine is to call your sponsor or go to a meeting.
And the reward from that is?
Relief, connection. You get the same payoff, but through a different, healthier behavior.
That makes so much sense. You're not denying the need, you're channeling it.
You're channeling it. But here's the catch. It's exhausting to change every single habit one by one. If you tried to fix your diet, your sleep, and your work habits all at once, you'd burn out.
Which brings me back to my January 15th failure.
Exactly. Too much, too fast. So Duhigg introduces a shortcut. He calls them keystone habits.
This was my favorite part of the book, the idea that some habits matter more than others.
Yeah, think of it like a lid domino. You push over this one important habit, and it starts a chain reaction that knocks over a bunch of others automatically.
The story of Alcoa is the perfect example here.
It's a business legend. So Paul O'Neill takes over this huge aluminum company, Alcoa, in 1987. He holds his first big meeting with Wall Street investors. They're all expecting to hear about profit margins, cutting costs, the usual stuff.
And he goes completely off script.
Totally rogue. He gets on stage and says, I don't want to talk about profits. I want to talk about worker safety.
If I'm an investor in that room, I'm thinking, this guy's a lunatic. I'm selling my stock immediately.
And people did. One guy literally ran out of the room to call his broker and said, the board put a crazy person in charge, sell everything.
But they were wrong.
Spectacularly wrong. O'Neill knew he couldn't just order efficiency. It's too vague. But safety. That's a keystone habit. Think about what it takes to have 0 injuries in a massive industrial plant.
Well, you have to fix the machines, you have to improve training.
Right, but most importantly, you have to fix communication. A guy on the factory floor has to be able to tell the plant manager that something's wrong without getting in trouble. The manager has to be able to tell the vice president.
So focusing on safety created this culture of total transparency and excellence.
Bingo. The safety habit rippled through the entire organization. And because everything was running better, profits went through the roof.
And the guy who sold his stock
Lost a fortune. Alcoa's market value went up by 500% under O'Neill, all because he picked one keystone habit.
It reminds me of the Michael Phelps example. His coach didn't focus on winning gold medals.
No, that's too big. He focused on small wins. They created a pre-race routine that was exactly the same every single time. But the key was the videotape. Every night and every morning, Phelps would visualize the perfect race in his head.
The mental rehearsal.
He did it for years. Every stroke, every turn, the feeling of the water.
So when he actually got to the Olympics...
His brain just hit play.
Yeah.
For his basal ganglia, it wasn't a high-pressure final. It was just another run-through of the tape he'd watched 1,000 times.
There's that story where his goggles filled with water, right? And he still won.
He won gold, basically blind. He didn't panic because he knew exactly how many strokes it took to get to the wall. He'd watched that version of the tape too.
That's the power of a keystone habit. But there's one more piece. The book says habit replacement works great until life gets really stressful.
The stress test.
Yeah.
When things fall apart, people relapse.
So what's the missing ingredient?
This is where neurology needs something a bit softer. Duhigg calls it belief.
This part felt a little abstract to me at first. You just have to believe. Sounds like something on a poster with a kitten on it.
Chuckles. It does. But look at the data. In those high-stress moments, the people who stuck with their new habits were the ones who truly believed that change was possible. And crucially, that belief usually didn't come from within.
It came from the group.
Yes, change occurs among other people. If I'm trying to quit smoking by myself and I have a terrible day, my brain says this is too hard, just have one. But if I'm in a group and I see you and you had an even worse day, not smoking, my brain registers a new fact.
Oh, it is possible. So community isn't just about accountability. It's about proof.
It's about borrowing belief from others
Yeah.
until your own is strong enough.
Yeah.
It changes your identity. You go from, I'm a smoker trying to quit, to, I am part of a community of non-smokers. And once that identity shifts, the habit sticks for good.
Okay, let's put this all together for someone listening right now who just wants to stop staring at their phone at 11 p.m.
The doom-scrolling loop. Yes.
A modern classic.
Let's run a habit audit. How do we do it?
Okay, step 1, identify the routine. That's the easy part. You're in bed, lights off, scrolling through bad news when you know you should be sleeping.
Check.
Step 2, and this is the hard part, experiment with rewards. Why are you really doing it?
I'd say I'm bored, or maybe I want to be informed.
Is it? Or is it a need to just decompress, a transition from your stressful day to sleep? You have to test it. Tonight, instead of scrolling, try reading a book for 10 minutes, or listen to a calm podcast. See if the urge goes away. If it does, the reward wasn't information, it was just distraction. Okay, let's say I test it, and I realize the reward I'm craving is a feeling of connection. The house is quiet, and the phone feels less lonely.
Now we're getting somewhere. So the reward is soothing connection. Step 3, isolate the cue. When exactly does the urge hit?
It's when I plug my phone in on the nightstand. That little ding sound the charger makes, that's the cue.
Perfect. So now, step 4, have a plan. You need a new routine that's triggered by that charger ding, but still delivers the connection reward. Maybe the new plan is, when I plug my phone in, cue, I will immediately text one friend good night, routine, and then turn the phone face down for the night.
Or maybe the new routine is that I plug the phone in across the room and I pick up a book instead. That gives me a different kind of connection.
Exactly. You keep the cue, you satisfy the craving for the reward, but you swap out the destructive routine for a healthy one.
It's like you're running a science experiment on yourself.
You are, and that's the most empowering part of this book. Habits aren't your destiny. They are just code, and you can rewrite the code.
I love that. It takes all the shame out of it. You're not a bad person, you just have a buggy script.
And you're the programmer.
So here is the challenge for everyone listening. Don't try to change your entire life tomorrow. Just pick one loop.
Just one.
Maybe it's the afternoon cookie, maybe it's checking your phone the second you wake up.
Right.
Just observe it today. Identify the cue. Figure out the real reward.
That awareness is the first step. Once you see the loop, you can't unsee it.
Absolutely. If you found this deep dive helpful, make sure you subscribe to The Practical Mind. We're going to keep breaking down the books that help you live a more intentional life.
Understand your mind. Change your life.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next deep dive.